Let's review this week's AEW Dynamite next on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. We start things off with Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal in the AEW Championship Eliminator Tournament. While going into this match, I wasn't expecting Sydal to win, but there were plenty of times where you actually thought Sydal could actually win this match. A couple times Sydal was actually able to reverse the one-wing angel. There were a lot of near falls, including one that maybe the ref actually counted 3, but eventually, Kenny does win with that one-winged angel. I gotta say, this match was very good, but I thought the commentary was really, really great and brought it to that next level. You had Don Callis on commentary. JR had a great line here. So Callis was trying to bring up Matt Sydal, calling him a young up-and-comer. However, Sydal's been in the business 20 years and has, been all over the world, including WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, wherever. JR actually brings this up by mentioning that Sydal is actually older than Omega. Thought this was a great way to open up the show. And after the win, they just moved on to the next segment. Just a great way to start out the show. After that, we had Hangman Page defeating Cezar Bononi. There's not much to this match, but Hangman does stay on TV, gets a win. Hangman is currently the number 2 ranked wrestler in AEW, so they could be building momentum for him for the eventual Omega versus Page match that we'll see for the AEW Championship. I don't think it's going to happen at AEW Double or Nothing because you have Eddie Kingston involved, you have Christian Cage involved, you have Pac involved. So that Hangman Page match will probably be at All Out, but we'll see how that goes. After that, we have Britt Baker talking to Tony Schiavone after her lights out match with Thunder Rosa last week that had everybody talking all over social media, including us. And I thought this match was going to make Britt Baker the face of the women's division and make her a top babyface. I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. But this follow-up promo just ensured Britt Baker was going to do everything she can to bring the heat, and she does so. She has a great line in here where she takes a jab at Mick Foley that got the crowd booing, where she said, "It took you 20 years to be a hardcore legend, while it took me only one night." Great line. Obviously, the crowd reacting to it, which was amazing. She followed that up with taking a shot at Tony Khan for signing all the former WWE legends like Christian Cage and Paul White. Signing legend after legend, but you have the legend right under your nose. A fantastic promo by Britt Baker, maybe her best promo since joining AEW, and she just kept the heat on. Although I will say at the end where the crowd sang along with her, the DMD, that was, just ensuring like they give respect to her, but she is doing everything she can to bring that heat, and it was an amazing promo. After that, we had 6-man tag action as the Pinnacle has their first match since forming in 6-man tag action against the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin of Top Flight. The match itself was solid, and it was a good showcase for the new faction with Shawn Spears, FTR, and MJF, who was sitting ringside here. But it was the promos afterwards that were definitely good, and I think the focus of this segment. FTR started off the promo with Cash Wheeler mentioning that the Pinnacle is all about family, as this is his family. He has no wife, he has no kid, so he'll do anything for these men. And it was, quick little to the point, good promo for Cash Wheeler. Dax Harwood follows this up, calling out the Inner Circle, saying that the marquee says professional wrestling. This isn't an SNL skit. This isn't a rom-com. Basically saying that the Inner Circle is more about doing comedic skits than they are focusing on professional wrestling. He also points out Santana and Ortiz could be doing a lot more and focus on being the best here in AEW, and they just haven't done that. MJF follows this up with a great promo on his own, taking more jabs at Chris Jericho's weight again, saying he's trying to break the walls down, but instead all he does is break chairs that he sits on. And he also hints that there's going to be a surprise gift for the Pinnacle next week involving gold. So obviously this, I think, leads to FTR going after the tag titles, Shawn Spears going after the TNT Championship. MJF will eventually go for the AEW World Championship. I just thought it was a great promo by MJF yet again. I mean, he's one of the best in the business. So anytime he touches that microphone, you know you're going to get a good promo. After that, another 6-man tag match. This time we have the Young Bucks with Brandon Cutler going against the Lucha Brothers with the Laredo Kid. It's another decent match where both the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers weren't involved in the pin. Laredo Kid pins Brandon Cutler with the Spanish Fly. But after the match, we had Kenny Omega storm out and attack Laredo Kid. Omega gets on the mic where he mentions that he always chooses the Bucks, but they never reciprocate. After trying to get the Bucks to give Omega the too sweet gesture, the Bucks refuse and walk out. The Lucha Brothers then give Omega the super kicks, take him out, and the Good Brothers come in late to save Kenny Omega. I thought this was a really good segment to further the storyline of the division between the Bucks and Omega, while the Good Brothers and Callis sit and watch. Don't forget, though, this also furthers the match between the Young Bucks and Pac and Rey Fenix for the AEW Tag Team Championship, as well as a possible Omega versus Pac AEW Championship match, with Pac currently sitting at the #1 spot in the rankings. So a lot of major storylines and also some underlining storylines here in this segment. And I thought it was a very good segment, which followed up a very good match here on AEW Dynamite. But we have women's action next as Tay Conti goes up against Nyla Rose. And in a surprise, Tay Conti actually beats Nyla Rose and solidifies her spot as the #1 ranked wrestler in the women's division. Now, this was a big win for the former NXT wrestler, and she has shown many signs of improvement since joining AEW, coming from NXT. The match between Conti and Rose I thought was really, really good, but unfortunately was not a fan of the aftermath here of this match. So after the match, Nyla Rose attacks Tay Conti. You have Hikaru Shida coming out for the save, hitting Nyla Rose with the kendo stick, but then the bunny comes out with HFO, helps Nyla Rose attack the women's champion and the #1 ranked woman wrestler in AEW. Then you have Matt Hardy cutting a promo here where he's calling the Eliminator tournament a sham because the bunny was not in it. Meanwhile, you have Nyla Rose standing next to the bunny who was in the finals of that Eliminator tournament. So I think in the process, he's trying to put up the bunny, but instead buries Nyla Rose and everyone that was in the tournament. It just seemed like a little lack of continuity for me there. I thought they could have done a better job here. And with the bunny not really wrestling too much, I know she's been having some matches on Dark recently. So hopefully this leads to something further than just a tag team match next week on AEW Dynamite. We've already seen Rose and Shida multiple times, so I don't hope it's not another rematch between those two. I'd like to see Conti, get a chance here. She's looked really, really good. She's 9-2 now in AEW this year. So maybe this leads to Conti versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. But we did have a championship match for the main event. Darby Allin against John Silver. And I know a lot of the focus in AEW recently with people talking has been around legends recently signing, whether that's Paul White, whether that's Sting, whether that's Christian Cage. But it's nice to see that AEW is showcasing the younger talent still in that regard. And in this main event, these two absolutely delivered. It was a very good match between Darby Allin and John Silver. There was a really good spot in this match where John Silver came rushing at Darby Allin on the outside. Darby dodges him, and Silver goes over the barricade. And as Silver's trying to get back into the ring to avoid the countout, Darby Allin comes out of nowhere with the tope suicida, but John Silver's able to evade that tope suicida. Alan Angels gets hit with it. And I thought not only was that a good spot in this match, I think this further tells the story that they've been telling with the Dark Order of being the odd man out with Alan Angels and the Dark Order. So perhaps Alan Angels trying to be the man that wants to stay in the Dark Order, but they might eventually kick him out of the Dark Order. We'll see how it goes. But I thought that was a nice little hint of storyline progression there within the match. Silver was applying some really strong strikes in this match too. I thought he was just really, really good in this match, but unfortunately it was not enough. Darby Allin takes the Dark Order out with a coffin drop. And then Darby Allin, while coming back in, Silver's able to take him down off the top rope, trying to go for a pin, but Silver's momentum helps Darby Allin get his feet onto the ropes. Silver tries to finish it off with a power bomb a la Brody Lee, but Darby reverses it with the code red for the win. It's about time someone wins with a code red or a Canadian destroyer. Thank God, because that move has been kicked out of so many times. It's nice to see it actually go for a win for one time. And Darby doesn't have to rely on the coffin drop for a win, so he can use the code red as another possible finisher. This was a very fun main event. Sting does come out during this match, actually after the spot that I was talking about earlier, but he wasn't a main focal point in this match, which was fine. They kept it morally on Darby Allin and John Silver. So it was a great way to close out the show, and a great showcase for John Silver. Hopefully this leads to him having more matches on AEW. Maybe him and Alex Reynolds can get into the tag team title picture. And hopefully we see Darby Allin get more TNT Championship title defenses on TNT, because he hasn't really done it like Cody did and when Brody did when he had the title too. So before I give you my final thoughts, let's go over the ratings this week for AEW Dynamite. And this week, the ratings are up in the 18 to 49 demographic. The first time they were up in that demo in a month. But because they were down in other demos, they actually went down in total viewership from 768,000 total viewers last week to 757,000 total viewers this week. I thought this show was very good. I thought there was some very good storyline progression, especially with Kenny Omega, where he's featured in a couple segments here. He progresses the storyline with the Young Bucks. I like the storyline progression that we got with the Dark Order. The storyline progression, we got a good interview with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley too. Some new storylines progressing as well with Cody and QT Marshall, which we kind of saw starting last week. Some good in-ring action. I don't think there was really a bad match on the card last night. Overall, good show. If I had to give it a ranking out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Let me know your rankings in the comments below. And if you want to check out the NXT review, click the thumbnail on the screen right now and share this all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Subscribe, hit that bell to join the conversation. We'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble.